Rambling Runoff. I am your host, Robert Rios, once again coming to you with the sports news you need to hear. Yes, thank you once again for coming back, or if you're a new listener, thank you for hopping in, and hopefully you'll enjoy some Rambling Runoff with us today. Yeah, we got an action-packed show for you today. I mean, in my opinion, of course. But we're going to be going over this weekend's most important news that's been going on. I mean, there was this one big thing here in the US that kind of happened. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. It's called the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 57 just passed by. It was a pretty good game in my opinion. We're also going to go into a little bit of a preview for the UEFA Champions League tourney that's going on right now. The round of 16 has as of this recording, should have already began, but we're just going to give our own details and opinions on what's going on with that. And for the warm-up, we are going to be talking about something a little bit personal with myself. I've kind of brought it up before, but it's, I guess you could say, the opposite now of what the topic was prior. We're talking some pro wrestling. Yeah. And then, of course, stick around for the rundown, because that's where we cover a bunch of different stuff, but, all rapid fire, of course, depending on what we're talking about. And in case you haven't noticed, I am doing this by myself today, but hey, I think people like listening to the sound of my voice, so hopefully our new people who are listening enjoy the soothing sound of Robert Rios. But yeah, there's been a lot of stuff that's been going on, a lot of stuff that's going to be going on in the sports world, so yeah, I'm looking forward to covering it all. Personally with myself, I guess just to go over, just everyone knows you be working, you be doing your own grind. I wish I could say I've read a good book or something recently, but I haven't, which is somewhat of a bummer, because I wish I was kind of into books. I used to read a lot of sports books back in the day, but not anymore. I don't know why, but someday I'll get back into it. I don't know. I always feel like when I open up the show, I should talk about something personal or something that I've done, but I haven't really done much except work. But it's okay. I mean, I'm just looking forward to whatever it's coming in the spring. I know we have, I don't want to get too much of these, but the MLS season's about to start, USFL, XFL, and a bunch of other stuff we're going to go over later on in the show. But that's where I am currently at the moment. But besides myself, I think everyone who is listening to this is ready for some sports rambling. Why not, huh? Let's get to it. Let's start the rambling. So yeah, the first thing in today's show, and unless you've been living under a rock somehow or haven't been reading the news somewhere, the Super Bowl in the NFL, the National Football League, has just concluded, and we now have our Super Bowl champions. This past Sunday, we had the Kansas City Chiefs squaring up against the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 57, live from Glendale, Arizona, from the State Farm Stadium, in which the AFC champions were going up against the NFC champions, and these were unequivocally the two best teams in the league. They had the best everything, offense, defense, you name it. But of course, there's going to be one winner. There were no ties, there are no draws. Someone's going to go home sad. In which, unless you don't know already, but the final of the result was Kansas City Chiefs 38, Philadelphia Eagles 35. And yes, the Chiefs were on top this past weekend. The two best teams throughout the season who ended up number one seeds in their respective conferences. The Chiefs and the Eagles treated everyone to an all-time classic Super Bowl with, I would say, two phenomenal offenses performing at an extraordinary high level throughout it. It came all the way down to the wire, with Mahomes leading his team to victory at the conclusion of a decisive drive in crunch time, as Harrison Butker drilled a 40-yard field goal with 8 seconds remaining to put KC on top by the final margin. But yeah, I guess you could say it ended on an anticlimactic note, but hey, sometimes you just gotta be strategic with it. For the Kansas City Chiefs, this is the second time in the last 4 seasons that they are Super Bowl champs. Coming back from 10 points down at halftime, the Chiefs scored touchdowns on each of their first 3 possessions in the second half to claim a 38-35 victory over the Eagles. The Chiefs became the second team in NFL history as well to come back from a double-digit halftime deficit to win the Super Bowl. Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes also became the first player since Kurt Warner in 1999 with the Rams to win NFL MVP and lead excuse me, I'm a little under the weather, and lead his team to victory in the Super Bowl. I would say, although I just kind of like hyped up Patrick Mahomes, I would also say that both quarterbacks were just played out of their damn minds and showed everybody that why they're the best. Yeah, it was just, I would say, a stage show of a performance by Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. I would say, though, the first half was all Jalen Hurts. He was nearly as marvelous as he was all season long. I mean, if anything, probably even better. He became just the second player in NFL history to rush for 3 or more touchdowns in the Super Bowl and added a 4th score through the air. On the evening of the game, he completed 27 of 38 passes for 304 yards and a touchdown while taking 15 carries for 70 yards plus the 3 scores he had. Here's some stat lines I like to read in regards to Jalen Hurts. Hurts became the first QB to have 3 games with a rush TD in a single season. Jalen Hurts is the first player in Super Bowl history to rush for 2 TDs in the first half. Jalen Hurts is the second quarterback in NFL history with 3 rushing TDs in a playoff game. I'm joining Otto Graham in the 1954 NFL Championship. And lastly, Jalen Hurts recorded his second career game with 300 passing yards, 50 rushing yards, and 3 rushing TDs. No other player has ever done that even once. So he was putting up Madden EA stat lines in the first 2 quarters of the game practically, which is just astonishing and amazing from a player of his stature who, for like a hot minute, people thought it was over for him. But no, he was able to show that he could still play. I guess we could kind of jump in with well, let me see. Now we can let's go more into the game itself. Philadelphia settled for a field goal. Well, actually, no. This is the only time that they actually didn't really score. It was when they settled for a field goal on one of its second half possessions and a punt in another. And they punted a few times, I think once or twice. But I would say those punts is what kind of killed it for them and helped Kansas City come back into this game. With Patrick Mahomes, I would say he was non-existent, but that was due to the Chiefs not really getting time of possession. Like, I think at some point I saw during the game that we had like 7 minutes of possession, which was like, damn, like that's like nothing. Like, Philadelphia was really I would say they were mindful when they had the ball. For Mahomes, he was simply spectacular in the second half, completing 13 of 50 passes for 93 yards and 2 scores while adding a crucial 26-yard scramble on what would have eventually become the game-winning drive. The newly crowned NFL MVP completed 21 of 27 passes for 182 yards and 3 touchdowns and rushed 6 times for 44 additional yards. Here's some notable stats and streaks snapped by Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs that I like to read off to you guys. Previous 9 MVPs to reach Super Bowl had all lost. Previous 6 individual passing yard leaders to reach the NFL Super Bowl had all lost. Previous 8 teams to win the coin toss at the Super Bowl had all lost. Patrick Mahomes in 2022 won the regular season MVP, won Super Bowl MVP, led the NFL in pass TD, led the NFL in passing yards. Only 3 players have done this in their whole career, what Mahomes did in one season. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Kurt Warner. So he kind of did something that was super, super duper impossible and did the whole damn thing, which is, I don't know about you guys, but it's really, really cool to see and hear. Let me see what else we got here. Each of Mahomes' touchdown passes went to different receivers, by the way, with tight end Travis Kelce grabbing an 18-yard score on the Chiefs' first possession of the game. Wide receivers Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore found the end zone in the second half with a first half fumble return touchdown serving by Nick Bolton, who played as well. He had a hell of a game as Kansas City's other entry into the end zone. At the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes is the first player in NFL history with multiple championships and multiple league MVPs within his first 6 seasons. The Chiefs did good by coming back and scoring on all their possessions, as I mentioned before in the second half. And like I mentioned before, Mahomes finished the season as the NFL leading in yard passing and passing touchdowns. He won NFL MVP, Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP to boot. So it's like, in the matter of 2 quarters, he drastically boosted his NFL career. And just the fact that he outbeat Warner, Brady, and Peyton Manning is just like, you wouldn't think that he'd be that elite, but he is, and that's how he has now etched his name in history. Meanwhile, I would say for the coaching staff for the Chiefs, who utterly had to make a comeback, Coach Andy Reid repeatedly found ways to get Travis Kelce and wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster into the game. 7 catches, 53 yards, opened, and they were able to find open spots in the middle of the field. And I would say Smith-Schuster was able to scheme easy catches for himself and the rest of the receiving corps for Kansas City in order to get those touchdowns in the red zone. And I guess you can see also the O-line for Kansas City helped keep a Mahomes jersey clean. Even with his limpy leg, he was still able to outrun and maneuver the Philadelphia Eagles defense. It also even helped keep the running backs jerseys clear. Isaiah Pacheco, he had 15 carries, 76 yards in the TD. And Jerick McKinnon, he had 4 carries for 34 yards to have big games on the ground in the second half. And like I mentioned before, Travis Kelce helped open the scoreline for KC. And his opening touchdown drive in the first quarter was the 16th of his playoff career, passing Rob Gronkowski for second in NFL history. Travis Kelce now only trails Jerry Rice, who has a total of 22 touchdowns in his playoff career. Dude, that's crazy. I don't think no one was really thinking that they were going to break or even get close to these records, and these guys are just shattering them practically. We're like watching history, within our eye, like in front of our own eyes. What else do we have here? As mentioned before, rookies Isaiah Pacheco and Sky Moore each had a touchdown. The Chiefs are the second team to have 2 different rookies score a TD in the Super Bowl, joining the 1985 Bears with William Perry and Reggie Phillips. Pacheco is also the second former 7th-round pick to score a rushing TD in the Super Bowl, and the first since Ahmad Bradshaw in Super Bowl. Sorry, I'm just going to say the Roman number, XLVI. If you happen to know what number that is, let me know. I wrote it down, but I didn't describe it to myself. Oopsie. The defense I would say the Chiefs' defense made the Philly offense look really, really silly, whatever you want to say. It's like as if Philly forgot how to play. Because it was all Philly in that first half. I would say every time Philly was at 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, they would just rugby scramble for each down, and the Chiefs never had an answer. It was as if that Philly was just going for the long ball and the Chiefs had no answer. It wasn't until that second half that they were able to figure something out and get the Eagles to make mistakes and not have them score. Because the Eagles with Jalen Hurts were just, I would say, running circles around the Chiefs, but like I said, they were able to recover. As I mentioned, Nick Bolton was electric all night, the Chiefs' lead tackler this season. He finished with 9 more grabs Sunday night, the most of any player in the game. The biggest tackle came in the third quarter when he tackled down Eagles running back Kenneth Gainwell in the open field on 3rd down, forcing Philly to kick a field goal rather than go for it on 4th down, which was surprising in my opinion. Bolton also picked up Hurst's first half fumble and returned it 36 yards for the score, keeping KC within striking distance at the game. I think besides the punts, that one fumble and turnover is the saving grace for the Chiefs. Because if the Eagles would have, I don't even think if the Chiefs wouldn't have been able to score off of that fumble, like in any other scenario where if the Eagles marched down the field, scored even just a field goal, I would even say just have to punt the ball away, the Chiefs would have been in trouble because they were not generating any type of offense at that moment. So it would have been a 2-score game heading into the half. It would have been more detrimental to them in this game. But hey, they were able to figure it out. Also, with Bolton's fumble recovery, I think Bolton recorded the first fumble return TD in Super Bowl history since the Broncos' Malik Jackson in Super Bowl 50 against the Panthers. Moving on into more detail with the Eagles, yeah, like I was saying, they had a really good first half and then they just crumbled. The main thing I think that like dug them in was that like they came out thinking that the Chiefs were gonna do the same thing again, but no, they were able to adjust. And another thing was they didn't have the ball at the end of the game, and that might have been one of the reasons. I mean, that is the reason why they lost, I guess you could say, because the Chiefs were a little bit smarter with the ball towards the end. You know, I think the one turnover that they committed was more or less their downfall in this game. Yeah, and Bolton scooping and scoring it, taking it to the house, you know, was the cherry on top. And I want to say that was like the turning point of the game, but that's what helped keep them in. If not, it would have been a 2-score game. I would say their defense, you know, helped them come up short in 2 key third downs in that second half. The first one leading to the field goal, keeping KC within a 1-score game, but the second led to Tony Tooney's record-setting 65-yard punt return, which is, you know, the record-setting longest punt return in a game. The drive and the punt, you know, I was like, okay, they're gonna punt it, but let's see where we go from here. And yet I ended up costing them, because what were you supposed to do? You let this guy run for 65 and come into your 5-yard line. It just puts you in like a really rough spot. And that was just uncharacteristic of the Eagles all postseason long in regards to not even turning over the ball all postseason. Let me see what else do I got here. Plus the Eagles, their run game was just non-existent this whole game. I kind of figured, because every time they run the ball, they just ran into a brick wall of defensemen in the line. The offensive line was not opening up any holes. Jalen Hurts ran for 15 times for 70 yards, but Gainwell, Miles Sanders, and Boston Scott combined for just 45 yards and 17 carries. The inability to impose their will in the run game made the Eagles more one-dimensional than usual, and that gives the Chiefs the opening chance to make a comeback. I was like, this ain't the guys that destroyed the 49ers, and I was like, it is what it is. One of the turning points for me was that long punt. The Eagles looked gassed, and the Chiefs were ready to just steamroll them. There were 2 instances where the Chiefs basically ran the same play, and they had open man early in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs faced third and 3 from the Eagles' 5-yard line. Kansas City changed out with 2 tight ends set with Kelsey lined up in the slot to the right and Noah Gray in the close on the formation, but off the line on the side, left them wide open on the side. And Tony just was able to walk right into the end zone. Once he walked in for the score, I was like, okay, this game might be a little bit harder for the Eagles to close. And yeah, I mean, the Eagles did respond. They showed that they still have some life in them with the last TD drive to get them within 2, and then he went to 2 and tied the game. And some would have probably thought that this was going to be a back and forth affair, but which it wasn't, because the Chiefs were strategic and they held on to the ball until the last seconds. They had a guy running towards the end zone. He stopped right before the line, and they just wasted a little bit of time. And with like 10 seconds left, Butker kicked the game-winning field goal, and that's what gave the Chiefs the win. But yeah, that one kick is what gave the Kansas City Chiefs their second Lombardi Trophy in the past 4 years. although that was their good record-setting appointment. The Eagles, on the other hand, this past Sunday they joined the 2016 Falcons as the only teams in NFL history to lose when leading at halftime by double digits. Disappointing, but congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs for winning the NFL championship and the Lombardi Trophy. Just really quick, Rihanna's performance was pretty good at halftime. She couldn't really move as much because I was doing further research. She is now pregnant with bearing a second child, and so I guess their concept was Rihanna can't move, but we'll move Rihanna. It looked pretty funny because it looked like the stage looked like a Nintendo Smash Bros competition, or a stage, I should say. But yeah, it was pretty cool. In regards to the commercials, they weren't very funny. Not like haha funny, but they were okay. We had my favorite commercial was the Flash trailer with a cameoing Michael Keaton as Batman, which was cool. We also had the Doritos with Jack Harlow promoting the new Doritos flavor, and also starring Elton John. There was also another Fast and the Furious trailer, Whoop-de-doo. There was also a Dunkin' Donut, or Dunkin', whatever you want to call it, with Ben Affleck, where he's working at Dunkin' and working at the drive-thru. Some people recognize him. Some people are like, "Who are you?" And even J-Lo rolled up. And she's like, "Is this where you go when you say you go to work?" And then there was a Coors Light, Miller Lite battle, in which they were saying who was the true beer king. And then at the end, it was like, "Nope, it's a Blue Moon commercial." I'm like, bruh. But I'm more of a Modelo person, but that's okay. But other than that, it was a pretty good Super Bowl Sunday. Congratulations once again to the Chiefs. I look forward to next year's Super Bowl, which will be held at Allegiant Alliance Stadium in Las Vegas. So see you guys in Vegas. All right, moving on now in our programming from, I know I always make this joke, from pigskin football to world football. UEFA Champions League has reared its head once again and is up and running this week. Maybe a little bit late on these first couple of fixtures, but we'll be kind of going into detail a little bit on who we think is going to be doing good and who might need to be doing some improvement, of course. We got AC Milan from Italy going up against Tottenham Hotspur in England. The two clubs are reading lately will play at the legendary San Siro Stadium to gain the upper hand in the first leg of the series. If there is no one way to get ready for midweek championship league games, it's getting thrashed 4-1 in one's domestic league. That's exactly what happened to Tottenham this past weekend during their visit to Leicester City. Worse still, for once, Spurs actually started on the right foot, claiming an early 1-0 lead, only to suffer a pulminating dismantle for the rest of the afternoon. Antonio Conte will need to get his men basically refocused and play a full 90 minutes this week, something they've struggled mightily all season long, hence their 5th place in the Premier League and 8 defeats. The ironic I can never really say these guys' name, Rossoneri finally did away with an embarrassing poor sequence over the weekend with a 1-0 victory at Torino. Olivier Giroud scored another brilliant header off a set piece in the 62nd minute. It put an end to a disastrous 3-game winning streak, which saw them lose to city rivals Inter Milan, get smashed at home 5-2 by Sassuolo. They're in a tough fight for a top 4 finish in Serie A, making both their domestic and Champions League tilts of the utmost importance. So basically, they need to play these games really good, because if you're going to be playing terribly in your league, you don't want to be coming into Champions League in the tourney and laying a big fat egg, because then you're look more stupid. So hopefully, they turn it around and they get things going. Moving on, we had a Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich, one of the more mouth-watering round of 16 clashes featuring perennial contenders and German giants. Bayern Munich facing off against PSG, a club that dominates at home but has found continental success exclusive. This also happens to be a rematch of the 2020 final, which the Bavarian side won 1-0. Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how PSG comes out. They are playing at home where they usually dominate in Ligue 1, but they usually struggle to play international competition. And, they play, I think they kind of get dismantled in this competition, so hopefully they could try to figure things out. Judging by some reports emanating from PSG's camp, Mbappe and Lionel Messi will be active for this game. Each have missed some playing time in recent weeks due to injuries. Their absence were sorely felt over the weekend when the champions visited third place Monaco, who taught PSG a footballing lesson with a 3-1 victory. Moreover, PSG decidedly looked like the second best team on the pitch, and so begins another quest for European glory for a side that has invested countless funds into creating a juggernaut. Not many franchises can claim to have Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe, and Neymar Jr. in their starting lineup. So now is the time to make a push for a title. Over in the Bundesliga in Germany, things seem to have reverted to standard operating procedures, although it isn't clear cut as Julian Nagelsmann's side would like. Union Berlin hold on to first place. Lasted a couple months last autumn and made for a terrific story. Bayern has since reclaimed the top spot, albeit by a single point. They busted Butchman at the Allianz Arena over the weekend 3-0 and looked comfortable in the process. This upcoming game at the Parc des Princes promises to be a lot more difficult. So yeah, we're going to have to see if PSG is for real this time and if they want to be a contender in the international stage and not just, keep on destroying the smaller sides, I should say, in France. February 15th, we had a Borussia Dortmund going up against Chelsea. This game is I would say this is probably the least attractive game from the first couple of first legs that we got going around. We're probably going to see Dortmund struggle, but we're also going to see Chelsea struggle. Speaking of these teams that are failing well in Germany, Borussia Dortmund is holding on its own rather well since superstar Erling Haaland departure last summer to Man City, staying in third in the Bundesliga. They trailed the aforementioned Bayern Munich by only 3 points. Technically, anything can happen over the remaining 3 months of domestic football. For now, a date with London club Chelsea awaits. Most eyes will be on Englishman Jude Bellingham, who plays for Dortmund. There have been rumors about him moving to Premier League. He is one of the Bundesliga's rising stars at the moment. There is no other way to put it, but Chelsea had an extremely rough go so far about the past couple months, ever since his previous owner was justifiably forced out the door. The managerial change in midstream to claim Graham Potter, who had done an admirable job at Brighton, has done little to quell the club's ills. They have been smacked around more or less. Once domestically, they failed to defeat a struggling West Ham side over the weekend, mustering a 1-1 draw. It's a minor miracle that they are in the Champions League round of 16. Yeah, Chelsea isn't looking so bright right now. They spent a lot of money and they're struggling to beat mid-table. They are a mid-table team at this point, so let's see what happens with them. If not, they're about to get dismantled by Dortmund. Next up, we have a Club Brugge. Club Brugge from Belgium versus Benfica. I would say this isn't a very attractive game either, just in regards to the names. What people are gonna know who Club Brugge is. Or still, I would say they're probably the smaller club in this whole last 16. Probably the tie among the four to be featured this week that will get the least amount of spotlight in the Belgian Pro League side. And yeah, I would say, they're supposed to be giants. I would say Benfica is also a small team, even though they're giants in Portugal. It bears repeating that once repeating that one never knows which of these first leg ties will surprise us, especially when it comes to less popular clubs such as these two. Bruges is not having the greatest domestic campaign. It sits fourth in the Pro League, a full 20 points behind table leaders Racing Grand, who, pardon the pun, is running away with the league. To their credit, Bruges hasn't suffered defeat in quite some time, avoiding the fate since January 8th against Gent. On the flip side, they haven't won very much either. Of their past 6 contests, 5 have been Bruges, and their opposites share the spoils. Have seen Bruges and their opposites share the spoils. The team has no trouble scoring, having failed to put the ball in the back of the net only once in the last 9 games. Benfica is no stranger to Champions League. I mean, we've seen them go toe to toe with, like, I think it was Atletico Madrid last year, where they were going back and forth, and the players were just about to start throwing fists. Benfica having won the tournament or its equivalent twice in its history, albeit both occasions were a long time ago, which is let me see what I got here, 1961 and 1962. At the moment, they're experiencing a rather successful domestic campaign, leading the Portuguese Premier League. Their advantage is only 5 points ahead, with eternal rivals Porto breathing down their neck, at 5 points away, and Braga not too far behind with 7 points behind them. There's no doubt that the Portuguese side is the one with the most experience. Joao Mario and Goncalo Ramos are both having great seasons, having each scored 12 times. Moving on, we have on February 21st. Moving into a little bit to the future, we have Eintracht, I think that's how you say it, Frankfurt from Germany and Napoli from Italy. Frankfurt made the Champions League because of their Europa League victory last season. They put in a great amount of themselves, finishing second behind Spurs in Group D. Napoli top Group A on goals, scored over Liverpool. Gli Azzurri opened their Champions League campaign with a 4-1 win over Liverpool and have been in amazing form in all competitions. Yeah, Napoli's, I think, has been the surprise team from not just the Champions League but overall in European football. While Frankfurt are no pushovers, Napoli should go through. They scored nearly 3 times as many as Frankfurt in the group stage, and Serie A leaders show no signs of slowing down or letting up. Also in that day, we have Liverpool versus England versus Real Madrid. This should be a very good matchup. I think this is possibly the most thrilling matchup of the round of 16. It's a rematch of last year's Champions League final, where Madrid came out on top, obviously. Liverpool has been erratic in all competitions this season, including the Champions League. The Reds finished second in Group A, finishing behind Napoli's side, who demolished them on the first match day of the group. Madrid, on the other hand, topped Group F. They suffered a loss to Leipzig, but were overall their usual dominant selves. Vinicius Jr. has put in incredible performances, scoring 4 times during the group stage. Expect Madrid to go through here. A lot can change between now and late February, but Liverpool has yet to show consistency this season. The defending champs continue the pursuit of another European Cup. Moving on, we have Inter Milan going up against Porto from Portugal. Italian giants Inter Milan finished second in their group behind German heavyweight Bayern Munich. They failed to defeat Bayern Munich in the group, but still put in quality performances to advance. Porto topped the group over Club Brugge, but came down to the final match week. Furthermore, Aziz Broncos suffered a loss to out-of-form Atletico Madrid and a heavy defeat to Club Brugge. Porto has a history of Champions League upsets as well. However, just 2 years ago, they swept aside Juventus in the round of 16. I do remember that. That was like pretty gnarly. However, don't expect a repeat here. Internazionale will go through this year, most likely. That's what I'm predicting. Then we got RB Leipzig from Germany going up against Manchester City from England. Manchester City cropped Group G while going unbeaten in the group stages. This the citizens have already faced one German's best club, taking on Borussia Dortmund in the group stage. City won the first tie, while the two clubs drew the return match. Leipzig finished second in Group F, losing twice in the group stages. They did not face an English club yet, but they did give one of the world's best clubs a run for their money. Die Roten Bohlen faced defending league winners Real Madrid in the group. Madrid won the first leg, while Leipzig won the return fixture in match week 5. While Leipzig can be proud of the victory over Madrid, it won't do them well in the knockouts. Manchester City are simply on a different level right now. The citizens conceded just twice during the group stages and are one of the competition's best in the terms of possession and distribution. Erling Haaland has scored 5 goals and is in imperious form. Also, just as a note, I mean, although that's all the positives for Man City, we have to see how they perform now with the alleged overspending and scandal going around the team. And I would say they're kind of a little out of form. Like, they're not the same as they were when they started this tournament, although we want to look onto the positives and hope that they do well in this upcoming fixtures. But I'm hoping for a few good matches in this tourney. I mean, a lot of people would probably hope that a lot of the big names would play each other later, but that's just the way that they were drawn up this time around. I don't mind the way that it was all laid out. Maybe it would have been fine to see PSG and Bayern Munich play later. It would have been better to see Liverpool and Real Madrid play later on in the tournament. But that's just, like I said, the way that the person put their hand in and the balls came out. But let me know what game you guys are looking forward to see and who you think is going to win. I don't know if I was able to. I know on some of them I was saying, oh yeah, so and so's gonna win. Just go through AC Milan and Tottenham. I'm gonna see AC Milan goes through just due to the fact that Tottenham is just very inconsistent. PSG and Bayern Munich. Barring that PSG is playing this for reals and finally has all their affairs in order, Bayern Munich should be the more dominant squad in this. Between Dortmund and Chelsea, I know Dortmund's like really good, but I think Chelsea is going to get lucky and get through. Club Brugge and Benfica. I think I'm going to go with the upset here and have Club Brugge being Benfica. Frankfurt and Napoli. I think Napoli has just been on it. Like I said earlier, they're on a tear. I don't think they're untouchable. If anything, they might be the underdog in this whole entire tournament. So make sure you guys watch out for this Italian squad to go all the way and even make it to the final. Between Liverpool and Real Madrid, we just seen Liverpool, who they just know how to win. And although I do occasionally pick against against Real Madrid, they seem to know who to put in, and they pick their spots well on who should be on. They pick their spots well on who should be on the field, and those individuals that do get picked to go onto the field ultimately get them the W and get them the easy win. Which is Inter Milan and Porto. I don't know. I think Milan's been. I want to say they've been kind of inconsistent, but Porto, like last year, being Juventus, kind of turned on the Jets, and I kind of seen them doing the same here again. So let's see. I have Porto going through, and then I think is this the last one? Yeah. Lastly, we got RB Leipzig going up against Manchester City. This one's kind of a toss-up because Man City is, paper-wise, they're the better team, but as of now, it's a little bit of a crapshoot here. I wish I could flip a coin, but unless Erling Haaland wants to find the score sheet again, I think we're gonna have Man City going through to the end. But that is the Champions League round of 16. I guess my preview / predictions for the tournament. But let me know who you think is going to move on, and also who you think is going to win it all. But now, besides the Champions League, we're going to be moving on now in our programming here. We're going to the warm-up, everyone's favorite topic that we got, And in this week's warm-up discussion, I'm gonna be talking some pro wrestling, in which, although I know in the past I've talked about this before, where AEW has gotten me to enjoy wrestling again. However, in the past couple months, I haven't really been watching or following it as hard as I was prior. And that's just due to the fact that the product, I think, has somewhat, I want to say, gone stale, but no longer attracted me. It was this kind of shiny new thing, and I really enjoyed it in the beginning. I followed it the past 2.5 years now, and it was really fun to watch. You had old faces going up against new faces, and I was like, wow, this could actually work. But it seems as though that formula has run itself to the ground a bit. But also, there hasn't really been anything that would attract me to the product. I think I have to go back to when they had the CM Punk incident after their pay-per-view, in which he went onto a tyrant rant, and getting into a fight with your vice presidents is not always the best thing. And I think that's what kind of has brought us here now in regards to why the product has kind of gone stale. Currently, they have MJF as the champion, which MJF is really good. He's a really good performer. He's a really good heel. He knows how to interact with the crowds. But it seems as though ever since then, they kind of figuratively went back to business. I mean, even right after that pay-per-view, they had John Moxley, who even said himself in his promo that he was supposed to go on vacation, but he is sticking around for a bit, in which I think he's already gone on his vacation as well. So it does kind of suck to see that something that caught my eye, it has now dwindled. I haven't really been following any of the backstage deets or the I forgot what they call them, but the web pages where people just put on oh, so and so's mad today, or the secrets and details that they don't want you to know, but people end up finding out anyway. Oh, the dirt sheets, there you go. Because I haven't really been following any of YouTube content or news in regards to wrestling itself. I've kind of checked out some WWE here and there just to see Cody Rhodes, because Cody Rhodes is more or less the only, in my opinion, the most realistic guy to follow in WWE right now. And unfortunately, since he left, even when he left AEW, it kind of left a hole in the company's body as well. Because with Cody Rhodes, you weren't in AEW, you weren't just following his journey in AEW, you're following his overall journey in opening up a new wrestling company and trying to find stardom with just his name himself. But now he's at WWE, and since he left there, now you're following his journey in World Wrestling Entertainment, in which now you get to see, well, now he gets to almost try to grab that brass ring that everyone is always talking about. So it's going to be interesting to see how his journey goes, and that's why I've been kind of following. He came back from his injury. He won the Royal Rumble, so he's going up against Roman Reigns, which is going to be an interesting matchup, because now there's a turmoil within the Roman Reigns camp. So it's going to be cool to see how it goes. But back to my AEW discussion. It was very they made it very clear that they don't want CM Punk there right now. There was rumors that they were going to fire him. They were going to buy out his contract, which nothing to my knowledge has been said. Unless I am wrong, please let me know in the comments or anywhere if they ever decided his fate. But right now he's non-existent. It's as if he was never in the show at all. But I think what might be coming to fruition, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do this. I mean, you might as well make some money off of this. If CM Punk is still part of AEW and he is to return at some point, you're most likely going to see him screw over somebody and become the ultimate heel, which I would say most people like it when Punk is the heel. He's always kind of the anti-hero. It was kind of hard with MJF, of course, and it was funny when when that incident happened on that Sunday night, they just like immediately edited any image of CM Punk in any of their promos. I have not mentioned his name. I don't even think MJF has even mentioned his name. So, I think what's gonna happen is CM Punk is gonna screw over somebody, probably MJF. I mean, it has to be, right? And he's not gonna come alone. As well, in regards to CM Punk, there's these two other guys, FTR, who were just on a tear in the wrestling business. You know, they were in AEW. They had the AAA, the TNA, and Ring of Honor championships, but they didn't have the AEW championships. And I did hear there was rumblings that they were like, "Hey, just give us those, and we'll be the greatest of all time," which they already were basically. But they didn't want to do that. So I think little by little, I think also they probably wanted the break. They were dropping all the belts, and now they've kind of gone to the wayside. So what I've been seeing is the rumor is that going to go up against the Elite, who are, to my knowledge, if I'm correct, the current Trios champions, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, that at some point that the three individuals, CM Punk and FTR, are going to show up out of nowhere and run rampant in AEW, because you're going to have the guy, the self-proclaimed best in the world and the best tag team ever in existence at the moment, come and just destroy everybody. You're going to have CM Punk probably gun it for the main championship, and then you're going to have FTR and CM Punk basically challenge the VPs, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, for the trio championships, and you're going to have them basically strapped with everything. So that's why I meant earlier by they're going to try to make some money off of this and attempt to, I guess, reinvigorate or reconstruct CM Punk's image, because what you saw was just a man upset and taking it out on the media basically and calling out people instead of going to their face, which was kind of suspicious and dramatic, I would say. So it's going to be interesting on how AEW deals with this situation, because ever since that day it's been kind of hard to watch, because like, damn, like they really let drama spill out into reality, and when they could have used it as a work, they found that it was just impossible, because they ended up getting into a fight and a scuffle, and not like wrestling fight, like there's just hatred and disregard for employees and who's working there. So hopefully they can figure it out, because yeah, it hasn't been fun to watch. I haven't really been watching it. It's not because there's blood and extreme, like how would you say, spots that's making it unattractive. It's just that like it's moved on to the point where it's like, okay, like they've kind of found like their niche audience. I mean, their niche audience has always been the hardcore fan base, but just being able to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch it on Wednesday, and then the Wednesday come around and I forget about it, if I'm being honest. So it's not like I'm not watching it, but I'm not like trying to turn on my TV and watch 2 hours of wrestling on a Wednesday night, because it just isn't, it's not tangible, it's not sexy no more. So that's the reason why I kind of had to stop watching it, because those two reasons. The CM Punk incident did kind of drive me away, and the constant reminder of like, oh yeah, I could just like watch it all in one go and enjoy it, but it's just not how it works anymore. And you know, I even trying to watch YouTube videos, it's not as enjoyable as before, cause it just kind of started getting mucky with the collaborations and new faces and old faces trying to like mix around everywhere. I think another thing that they need to figure out as well is what they're going to do is Ring of Honor, because there's a lot of Ring of Honor wrestlers that I'm not too familiar with, and they're popping up on AEW programming, but I didn't really get to watch AEW as a kid. ROH as a kid, Ring of Honor. So I feel like they need to figure out what they're going to do with Ring of Honor, instead of just having like pay-per-views every once in a while and be like, oh, here comes Ring of Honor Final Battle 25. Like, okay, that's cool and all, but I need you guys to kind of figure out what direction you're going to go with the product, because it's kind of it's driving me away, and I hope that at some point they figure it out and doesn't drive away simple-minded folk like myself. I would say I'm a mid-card person. I'm not hardcore. I'm not leisurely, but I like to see me some good wrestling. So hopefully down the line, they figure it out, and hopefully down the line as well, I could go see it live. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. I just wanted to give really quick on pro wrestling and AEW. But yeah, thank you for sticking around if you got this far. Alrighty then. Other than that, let's start wrapping up the programming here as we go into the rundown. Of course, it should be fairly quick. In the rundown this week, we have the MLS is less than about, depending on when you're listening, let's say about 11 days left from the start of the season. The first game of the season will be LA Galaxy playing host to defending and crossroad rivals LAFC on February 25th at the Rose Bowl. One thing I like to point out, currently, supposedly, the MLS is trying to rework their playoff system in which there's more games, which would be a best-of-3 system. But I think it's just due to Apple, who are now streaming the games, wanting to have more games and last a little bit longer. The more people that are watching, the better for them. In the NWSL, we got their schedule dropped, as I mentioned last week. So the season will begin Saturday 25th Saturday March 25th between North Carolina Courage and the KC Current at 2 p.m. Eastern. And more soccer news, of course. U.S. Soccer has selected Orlando to host USA versus El Salvador for the CONCACAF Nations League Group D on March 27th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Coverage can be found on TNT, Universal, and Peacock. Also in the soccer world, the FIFA Club World Cup just passed by, which I was able to watch a little bit on my television, between Real Madrid and Al Hilal. It was somewhat of a back and forth affair in which Real Madrid came up on top 5-3. Vinicius Jr. had 2 goals. It was somewhat of a one-sided game, even though you wouldn't tell by the scoreline. But yeah, good job, Real Madrid. You're the best team in the world again. In the XFL, they announced their secondary logos, which kind of just look more like sleek decals, in my opinion. But yeah, if you enjoy the XFL, wait until a little late in the spring, and that season should be going on. But one season that will not be taking too much time to start soon will be the XFL. The new season kicks off on April 15th, and each of the 4 host cities, Detroit, Memphis, Canton, Ohio, and Birmingham, Alabama, will all have games within the first 3 weeks. And then, lastly, NASCAR. The Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum, Sunday, February. Oh, dang it! I thought I deleted this. I have my notes here. It's already getting me confused. The Cup Series opens at Daytona International Speedway Wednesday to begin preparations for February 19th for the season opening Daytona 500 live from Daytona Beach, Florida, and you can watch that on Fox. First is qualifiers for the qualifying field on February 15th. Then we have the Blue-Green Vacations Duel. After that, on February 17th, we have the Next Era 250. After that, we have the Bandit 200 supporting Florida FFA, February 18th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1. Then we have the Beef It's What for Dinner 300 on February 18th. And then we got, to open up the NASCAR season officially, the 2023 Daytona 500, February 19th, 2023. You catch that at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. So yeah, it's a lot of sports going on this weekend, so make sure you catch up on that. But yeah, I think that's everything I got for you guys today. Thank you for listening to Rambling Runoff. If you're listening on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Also like the video. If you're on Spotify, give us a good review, give us a follow. Thank you for the people listening on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you may be listening to us. If you want to hear or see some more stuff from us on the socials, go on to Twitter at Rambling Runoff, on Instagram as well at Rambling Runoff. You can also find us on TikTok. But yeah, that's everything I got for you guys today. I've been your host, Robert Rios. See you next time. Peace out. Woo! Woo!